Hi, I'm Lizette Martinez.
And I'm Elena Gomez, and on this episode of At the Edge of It All, we're joined by Lauren Kirby. She is the Director of Name, Image, and Likeness here at the University of San Diego. Lauren, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
Well, before we dive into NIL, Name, Image, and Likeness, which is changing a lot of how we look at college sports today, we want to learn a little bit more about you and how you got into athletics. Were you an athlete yourself? Were you in academia prior to coming here? What was your journey?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Sherman, Texas. So Texas girl, you can't tell on the podcast, but I'm almost 6'1", so very tall. Grew up playing pretty much every sport, but I did go on to play college basketball. So that's kind of where my journey in college athletics took me. Loved it, had an absolute blast, amazing life-changing experience, and got my degree in secondary education, specializing in English, and really thought I was going to teach, coach, kind of like a typical athlete thing. And there was just so many students in the classroom, and I really love that one-on-one interaction. And so had a pivot where I really wanted to spend more time helping individuals who were maybe struggling in the classroom, had a learning disability, were really just maybe having a hard time keeping up. And so was able to go get my master's at the University of Arkansas, and in athletics work one-on-one as a learning specialist with student athletes who were underprepared for college or had a diagnosed learning disability. And that really ignited my fire for college athletics in a new way. I could see it more as this, there's this whole other business. When you're playing, you're just,
right.
You don't see everything behind the scenes. And so that really jump-started that journey, and was able to work for a few years at LSU. Then was able to go to Baylor and work with some former colleagues I knew. And then ended up at USD with a total pivot, working in NIL now. So it's been a really cool transition to still have that education background, but now I get to work with students on different types of skills that aren't just limited to the classroom, but more real life business skills that they can use far beyond their time here, which is cool.
And you're not the only athlete in your family, right? You have
Correct.
Siblings that also...
Yes. My sister, she played college volleyball. She's 6'3", so we have a very tall family. My grandpa played at the University of Texas, and he was 7 feet tall, so super tall family. We love sports, and especially team sports, and just all the opportunities it's brought us.
So you're definitely familiar with the life of an athlete, the needs of an athlete, and I can only imagine that is very useful in the type of work that you do now. Talk to us a little bit about what is your main function here at the University of San Diego's athletic department?
Yeah, so in my role now, I do have, part of my role is really cool. I get to work on strategic initiatives in the athletics department. So overall, looking at the changing, evolving landscape and how we can best set ourselves up for the future internally and externally. But the other part of my job is obviously handling NIL, which I cannot imagine in my day. I date myself a little bit there, but like if I would have gotten a free burger at a restaurant, or if I would have given someone an autograph and they paid me $50, I would have been ineligible. And so it's crazy to think in just this amount of time now NIL has been around for 4 years, we see students that have completely changed the game and creating their own businesses, their own brands. And so in my role, it's really helping students understand what their opportunities are. And while we do have, a little under 500 student athletes, I get to help them really explore what NIL makes sense for them, because some students, they don't want to get involved as much. They're like, school and sport, that's all I can handle, Lauren. And I'm like, that is totally fine. But then we have some extremely talented student athletes who they do want to be entrepreneurs. They want to start a business now. They want to build their brand on social media and do marketing and really build up that professional resume now, whereas before, even 4 or 5 years ago, they would have been ineligible for taking part in those things.
We have a whole episode separately with the athletic director at USD here, Kimia Massey, on name, image, and likeness. But for people that are listening that aren't familiar with it, can you briefly share what NIL is?
Yeah, so NIL, standing for name, image, and likeness, really in its most generic terms, is it's just student athletes being able to be compensated for the use of their name, image, and likeness. So that could be paying someone to have an autograph, or paying them for personal training or something like that. Or it could just be, hey, I'm promoting your business on social media in exchange for a free hoodie, or in exchange for getting my nails done for free. So a lot of it, people think these big dollar numbers, which some people are getting that if their brand online and their presence is huge. But a lot of our students, they'll just get free compensated things, which it's an expensive world out there. So that goes a really long way to be able to get some of those things for free.
So what does your day look like when you're working with student athletes? Are they coming to you? Are you educating them on all of it? How does it work so that we make sure that the students know how this works and how it runs and how to set themselves up for success?
And I would say not just for USD students. I think you have a lot of wealth of information for the general public and other student athletes that may be listening to this podcast. Like, what are some things that they need to keep in mind that you help the athletes here at USD with?
Yeah, I mean, this position is, I will say, newer. So Kimya created it about almost right over a year ago. And when I first got here, I was really educating the student athletes. Hey, you have had these opportunities now for, then it would have been, 3-ish years. But it's really making sure you understand, hey, here's what you're allowed to do. Here's what you're not allowed to do. There are certain rules obviously still in place to make sure student athletes aren't promoting things they shouldn't be promoting, or with working with brands that don't align with the vision of the university, things like that. So I do have the compliance side that we want to make sure we protect our students. We want to help them see for the future too, maybe things they should and shouldn't be doing, but also helping them. I mean, a lot of my day is student athletes coming to me, working with them on, hey, what is NIL? What do you want this to look like? Everyone always talks about, like, oh, I don't want to post a ton on social media. That's okay. Like, what are your goals? And then we try to create a strategy based on, okay, what does your social media look like? What are ways that we can start really developing your online presence? Or what are the businesses that we want to just reach out to and see if we can partner with them? So it's helping them understand some of those things. And then also on the flip side, though, it's me trying to create relationships with the local businesses here to help them see that student athletes, they can be used for marketing. Hey, in the Linda Vista area, there are tons of businesses. We would love to see all of them partnering with our student athletes. Put them on a billboard, put them on your social media, have them come rate your best salsas, get involved. Our students are so creative with ideas for marketing. So it's really helping the community see how can you tap into our student athletes to help promote your business in a new way that can really target the audience that you may be trying to get to.
Now, what are some of the tips and advice that you can give student athletes who may be tuning in based on what you've seen so far in the students that you have worked with? What are some of the common questions that come up, the common things that you advise students to change or to start doing or to not do anymore? Take us through some of those.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that people have with NIL, specifically thinking about building their online presence and brand, is they're scared to post because they don't want it to not be perfect, right? They're like, Lauren, like, I don't know what to post on social media, or maybe I don't want to. And I just tell them all the time, like, these are all learning opportunities. Like, we're going to fail. We're going to reach out to brands that don't want to work with us, and that's okay. We just have to keep building. So we always take a look at their social media and we say, hey, is this line up with your values? Does this line up with who you are? If a brand got on here today, would they want to partner with you? And it's really about being authentic. I don't want you to be some fake influencer online that's just promoting anything. It's really looking at what are your core values. Now, okay, you are more than just an athlete. What else? Do you like to cook? Are you passionate about mental health? Now, how can we show that on your social media so that people can start connecting with you in a deeper way, and they do want to see what you're doing and they trust either the brands or the products that you use? So I think the big thing is just don't be afraid to post. It's okay. If it's a bad post, it doesn't matter. You can always delete it later, but just start trying, get those reps in, because brands and companies, they don't want to work with you unless you have content on there. They want to know, they want to see your personality. So it's really figuring out, hey, what type of deals do I want to do? How can I start building up this online presence in a way that's authentic to me?
How have you seen students sort of manage this new world of, they have athletics, right? And they're competing in whatever sport they're in. Then they have their school, and I'm sure they have personal other things going on. And then this added element of, okay, I can get into this world as well and post these social clips or work with businesses. How do you work with athletes to sort of manage all of that while they're trying to, obviously, when you graduate, you want to get your job, and this kind of sets them up a little bit of figuring out what the next step might be?
Yeah, the balance is crazy already. Being a student is a lot. Then you add on being an athlete, which is another full-time job. So we do always want to emphasize, hey, see where you're comfortable. Let's start with something and then try to build from there. But it is a lot of time management. I have been blown away by our student athletes here. I mean, we literally have student athletes that have started their own businesses, that have created merchandise, that have created tech platforms. And this is in their free time. Like, I don't know what I do in my free time, but right? I'm like, yeah, if they have, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know where you find this, but they're so amazing. And then we have some student athletes who are like, I just want to do one deal. I just want some free product. I want to see where this goes. So I would say time management is huge. It already is. They're already so good at that. Most of them are so disciplined already in their life. And then I would say they do a good job of taking advantage of resources. And there are so many cool platforms now, especially with AI. We actually have access to an app that can help them with some of that time management. So if they do have a deal, I'm like, this is a business. You can't not complete a deliverable. Like, you need to look at the contract. We need to see what you need to do. And then, of course, I'm a resource there to help with reminders. But I was like, your name's on the contract. You're the one getting paid. So this is a great learning opportunity to make sure, how are we going to make sure that you are a good business partner? Because this is your brand and no one else is going to want to work with you if you can't follow through on your deliverables. So using AI technology, honestly, they have an app that they can use that can also send reminders to themselves. If they're supposed to post 3 times this month, it will remind them during those times, and they can help themselves, you know, take the time to be like, how much time do I need to plan this content? Where do I need to show up? Who do I need to email back? So, I mean, it is a real job. And I tell people that all the time, like, it is work. So if you come into my office and you say, Lauren, I want an NIL deal, but you're not willing to put in the time and effort, we're probably not going to get a lot of great results. But luckily, that's not an issue with our student athletes because, like I said, they are hard driven.
They're on top of it.
Exactly.
Does everything involve social media now when you're talking about NIL deals? Is there any world where someone comes and says, well, I don't know if I'm too comfortable like being on social media like that? Because as we all know, social media is a double-edged sword, right? Like it can really backfire on you, or it could be very helpful. What if someone's not that comfortable? Is there any other way that they can participate in this sort of venture?
Yeah, absolutely. I always joke with them, like, I don't love social media, so I totally get that. And that's where I think a lot of those other skills come in with, hey, let's go. Why don't you go to this local business and see how you can partner with them? See, what do you need for marketing? Maybe it is social media, but maybe it's not. Maybe they want you to come to a pop-up and like promote it to your friends. Or maybe they want to film some content for, we've had multiple brands come on campus and use athletics facilities to film our students working out. And those are people who they're like, I don't want to post on social media, but I can be a model, right? I can be someone that's used for these things. So I would say while social media can maybe get you some of those initial brand partnerships, it's definitely not all about that. We have student athletes that, I mean, even running your own camps, doing personal training, like those are NIL
I think you guys even have, because I want to talk to you about the exchange here at USD and some of the things you guys have done to market your athletes. But I think I even see student athletes there saying they can drop in at your kid's party, you know,
100%,
if it's like
a
soccer party and they're a soccer player, like, you know, like simple things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of, again, those are the relationships and those connections that we do try to brainstorm of, hey, it doesn't just have to be social media. It's who are you as a person? What are you interested in? What do you want to get more experience in? And just taking it from there.
Now, with all of this, there's money involved, right? Students are getting paid for brand deals. How do you teach them about financial literacy? Because some may have had their parents talk to them about finances and how to work that out. Some may have not. And then these are some big contracts that anybody, it'd be hard to read. And so how do you help them through that process of contracts, understanding financial literacy of how to invest their money or such?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. I don't think we can try to promote someone to get deals and then not be there on the back end to help them with some of those things. So while obviously at the end of the day, they're signing a contract, I think a big part of my role is being a connector. I'm not an expert in everything. And so how do I get the people who are experts in front of our student athletes? So we have opportunities for student athletes with financial literacy workshops where we've partnered with different companies in the community to be able to come in and teach them the basics on financial literacy and then apply those to NIL. Okay, there are taxes. Taxes are a real thing. So let's make sure when those come around, if we've had deals, how are we setting aside money for that? There's also local resources that we promote where we're like, hey, if you do need help doing your taxes, clearly you're not coming to me to do your taxes, but again, I'm a connector. Hey, you can meet with this person or this organization. They will help you get these in order. And then even when I first got here, meeting with the USD legal clinic, I was like, hey, could students come here if they have contracts that are more complex than myself looking at those basics can handle? And they were great and said yes. So we really want to connect them to the resources, again, to help them see, like, I mean, there's some real world consequences if you're not paying your taxes, right? If you're not looking at these contracts and you've signed away your intellectual property or there's exclusivity. So we do try to provide opportunities like that. And my biggest thing is, if you don't know, come to me, because I may not know it, but there's somebody on USD campus or somebody in my network or someone else's network that can help you.
Well, this has been a great conversation. One last question for you, Lauren, is where do you see this NIL space like evolving?
Yeah, I think we've had some really amazing opportunities here. We've worked with national, international brands like Nautica. We've worked with local USD alum like Jocko Fuel, and we've had those organizations come and work with our student athletes. Every single time, companies are blown away. They're like, your student athletes are so professional. And so I think that the more that the local businesses can see what an asset our student athletes can be to their businesses for marketing, the more deals that we'll continue to get. I see something with corporate sponsorship. So people who are corporate sponsors of USD or USD athletics also thinking, hey, why? Oh, great. Like a billboard's great or a banner's great on a field, but what if I had the student athletes more involved? And it's so much more fun. It's a great relationship and a mentorship even for those students to be able to partner at a high level with certain companies and brands. So I just see it continuing to evolve from a marketing standpoint. And then I really love the USD community, and we've been able to have a social media marketing class on campus. They've given free social media audits to our student athletes if they're interested. So I continue to see the partnership with campus getting bigger and bigger. There's an NIL class this semester that the business school put on. So I just see the sky's the limit as far as how does USD as a whole contribute to NIL, and it's giving these students on campus real experience too. We have a career sports marketing club, and we have students who have helped our student athletes get deals because
students helping students.
Exactly. And so how do we help get those real world experiences for the student athletes, but also the student population, and they're getting experience on their resume that they wouldn't have had before. So I'm a really big proponent of utilizing the resources that we have here. And so I've been so grateful for all of the awesome USD staff that have helped out, and would love to call on more with expertise to get in and help out.
Wonderful. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. This was great and really insightful, and excited to see where it all goes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to catch our next one.